So, welcome to the channel. Today our subject is international sounds, which I think is appropriate for world music or any kind of ethnic music you want to pick. So I organize my records by country or region, and if I think of a country or region, I immediately think of a go-to record. So I ended up with one Japanese record only tangentially. It's in the periphery of Japan, and one album solidly from Turkey.
I've got two from either end of Africa. Guiding principle was not terribly inspired. It was simply, is it exotic by my standards? They've got a different sort of sonic palette than customarily putting on a day-to-day basis.
I chose one record from South Africa, and I chose one that's a compilation, um, a worldwide compilation. So I guess technically it's from 12 different countries. My international choices are from 13 countries total.
Wow, you win.
My first choice is this record here from, his name is Teno Afrika, Teno. And this is his first record. It's called Amapiano Selections. He is a DJ and composer and producer, etc., from Pretoria, South Africa. This came out a few years ago, 5 years ago, as it happens. And this guy, he creates amapiano music, which it's a Zulu word, and I think it means like piano player or something. But basically, this is a subgenre of house music, a particularly South African subgenre. And it differs from house music in a bunch of ways. The beat is not, four on the floor. There's nothing disco-y about it. In fact, it's very syncopated. So the background syncopation will be accented by, by a thumping bass, but none of it moves very fast. I'm not quite sure how you dance to this stuff. Like every song on here, most amapiano music has vocals. This doesn't have any vocals. And so you get this, vaguely menacing, dark, but very chilled out, almost narcoleptic feel. And it's a cool record all the way around. My second choice is a classic hardcore compilation from 1985. It's called Cleanse the Bacteria. It was put out by sort of like 80s/90s hardcore skate scene legend, this guy named Pushead. He was in the band Septic Death, but much more famously, he was an illustrator, an artist. And he ended up doing album covers and t-shirt designs for tons and tons of bands, probably most famously like Metallica and Prog. So this record has always been seen as a classic, and rightly so. I first discovered it through the pages of either Maximum Rock and Roll or Thrasher magazine back in the day. This is the real underground. Most of the bands didn't go on to become big, but just about every song is great. You do have some American bands that, got bigger later. There's 7 Seconds, Poison Idea, Corrosion of Conformity. But mainly you've got bands from other parts of the world. There's a couple of great Swedish bands, Mob 47 and Crude SS. There's a great German band named Inferno. And then there's bands from, Finland to Holland to Australia on there as well. And the Execute from Japan. So It spans, you know, most of the hardcore world circa 1985. The songs are mostly short. Basically, they're all fast. There isn't much metal in here. Crudely produced. It's perfect. And, you know, there's a reason this is a classic record. What do you got, Eric?
All right. Well, what I got right here, which is Brian Jones presents the Pipes of Pan at Jajouka. So this is the Master Musicians of Jajouka uh, in Morocco. Brian Jones was, of course, the founder of the Rolling Stones before unceremoniously being dismissed. Prior to he recorded this while in Morocco in I think 1968, then died the following year, and it was released a couple years after that. At any rate, this is a great work of ethnographic exploration, and while the hippies, the rest of them were getting attuned to the exotic East, Mr. Jones found something a bit closer to home, but just as foreign and certainly as entrancing. Pipes of Pan advertised in the title are there, but really what strikes me about this more than anything else is the rhythm and the sort of incantatory quality that has. Plus, there's really great vocals, which are sort of droning. So this is basically, I don't know, 40 minutes of live recording, just kind of thrown onto some wax with plenty of incidental noise, people coughing, dogs barking, and stuff like that. But this is music performed in, I guess, a somewhat ritual, traditional context. But whatever is being transmitted through the ages, you get the feeling that it goes way, way back. And that's the appeal of this to me. The second record I've got here comes from South Africa. And I don't know if you can see this crazy cover in all its gatefold glory. Okay, so this is a band that started out as Hawk and became in sort of adapting for a European audience, Johannesburg or Joburg Hawk. What they really are is a prog band. They're a psych and prog band with a core of white members and then some peripheral black members because they couldn't actually perform together at all in South Africa. They had to go to relatively liberal Rhodesia. What you've got here is a record that sounds a core sound that is very proggy in early 70s, but that has African themes and then African additions in the form of percussion and some sort of secondary vocals. Was re-recorded for a European release. Its contents were kind of chopped up to be made discrete songs, but originally it had and it still does. It's just not identified as such. It had a suite uh, taking up an entire album side that is about the hunt for a mad elephant, which seems to be a political allegory for illegitimate governance. Here you can go on a journey to another time and place where the landscape is inhabited by mythical creatures like rhinos, tortoises, and the aforementioned elephant. It sounds like if you wanted Genesis that wasn't English but South African and political, this is your jam.
Okay, I have a couple records here, and this first one is Umeko Ando, which actually recorded in 2000, even though it's a much more traditional album. Um, Ihuki, which means lullaby, and this was actually recorded to preserve the culture of the Ainu people from northern Japan and parts of Russia. The Japanese government actually forced them into compliance with the Japanese government. So it's very remote and isolated, and they have their own kind of folk music. Oh, here's some folk art on the back as well, which involves organic voices, hers and another's, interwoven melodies, call response, a cappella, and the use of the traditional tankori harp and the mukuri bamboo Jews harp. And that's what it sounds like pretty much. It's hypnotic, it's repetitive, it's minimal, but the percussion is recorded really loud. So it's got this sort of presence. The themes are pagan hunting culture and ritual. And the words are considered a dead language, where some of the words actually have no meaning that anyone remembers. So it was recorded with actually a very young producer who gave it modern touches. And she was actually a fan of dub music. So it's got some dub echo and it's got some hip hop sort of repetition and percussion, although it's really organic. And in one case, one of the more traditional songs has an orchestra of frogs. And the results are harmonious, contemplative, meditative, but it has a contemporary edge. And it's very easy to recommend if you're open to obscure ritualistic music, which this is. Okay, so from the country of Turkey, we have Erkin Koray, and this is called Electronic Türküler. So electronic Turkish folk songs from 1974. It's not a very good cover. I mean, there's a little more to look at on the back, which is interesting typography and photo. It's got a big picture of him there, destined to be a star. This is sort of the ilk of mystical California 60s, 70s psych rock. But because it's Turkish, it's a little bit different. They experiment in different ways. They do have that heavy 60s groove, distorted guitar riffs, and you might say it's psych rock with a little bit of prog, but it's got this fresh energy that comes from not having any peer pressure, I believe. So there is a Turkish flair because some of the songs incorporate Middle Eastern melodies, and the songs are in Turkish, but evidently it's a societal critique. But it doesn't matter because the singing is smooth and soulful. And it's about half instrumental and half with vocals. There are some traditional instruments in the mix, but it's mostly, distorted electric guitar, drums, bass. And if you have an interest in an alternative to United States 60s psych rock, this is a great example because it sounds so different. And I consider him the king of Turkish psych, or what they would call Anatolian rock. So that's the subgenre. Anatolian rock genius.
Orchestra of Frogs.
Just like that old man in that book by Nabokov.
That's you're quoting Stink?
Yeah, no, I'm actually quite fond of them.
Puffy-shoe metal.
Yeah, puffy-shoe thrash.
Anthrax. I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't like Anthrax very much either.
The Big Four.
Big Four thrash bands.
Megadeth, Metallica, Slayer.
Anthrax.
If you weren't wearing Vans, you were probably wearing Air Jordans. To skate.
When you go through a carousel of cornholes, you're going to end up dirty.
You know what? That's what my grandma always told me too.
You're bringing your grandma? Trio?
Da da da. Da da da. Da da da. Wax.
Da da da. Da da da. Da da da. Wax. Wax. Wax.